All right, here we go. Cat, you better not bite my ankles. If you hear me scream, that's what happened all of a sudden. All right. Welcome, everybody. This is the Marvel Madness Comics Podcast, episode number 30, continuing Legacy Month 2. And I think this is going to be the conclusion of the Legacy-specific months here after next week. And then we're just going to kind of get back to our thing in December and going forward. But anyway, I am Brandon, as always, joined by my man Trevitt. Trevitt, what's up?
Nothing much.
And we're here to talk some Marvel comics for you guys. I'm in a better mood this week. The Bills finally got that losing streak off their back and back in the playoff hunt. So I'm happy for at least now, at least sport-wise, emotionally. But that's our sports update, and we're into comic books. We're going to give you guys our mission statement, how to get a hold of us. I think we got an email this week, Trevitt said.
Yes, did.
Got a little bit of interesting news for you guys this week. Books, of course. The Midpoint Marvelous Facts. We'll try to help you out with a couple random people we see in some books we cover this week. We got our sign-out segment back this week, and we'll tell you what's going on next week. But before we get to the end, we got to go through the beginning here, and that's our mission statement. We got 4 books in the Legacy lineup. It's going to be week 8 there for you tonight as we continue to strive to fulfill our mission of providing you the ins and outs of the Marvel comic book universe. In between talking books, we chit-chat about some of Marvel's latest news, rumors, titles, characters, fun facts, and all that falls under the general going-ons of Earth Prime's umbrella. We try to cover a variety of titles each month in an effort to avoid any repetitiveness in an attempt to keep things fresh and informative for you guys, our listeners. The books are currently not divided into our beloved categories, which will be making a return in 2 weeks. But for now, we are focusing on the new Legacy titles coming out each month. Or if we miss the first issue, we try to scoop in on the second one, which I didn't realize was the case for one of these books this week. But anyway, we got book 1 we're going to bring to you as Amazing Spider-Man Renew Your Vows, number 13. Book 2 we'll talk about will be Silver Sable, I think 36, right?
Well, I don't
know. Possibly 36.
I think
maybe 40 something. I don't know. This one I can't get the numbers stuck in my head.
Yeah, it's 36.
Okay. Second section will be a cosmic focus section as we cover Captain Marvel 126 and Thanos number 13, and Captain Marvel is that second Legacy issue. I didn't even realize 125 was the first one until today, when I was looking at next week's releases, and the second printing is coming out. So but anyway, so yeah, that's what we're covering for you guys this week. All titles we cover and rate honestly based on our own opinions, with our world famous scale of buy, borrow, or forget it altogether. Of course, buy means go buy that book now. Borrow means try to get that digital code from a buddy. I did drop one digital code on the Twitterverse this week. That was Renew Your Vows 13. And then forget it altogether means don't drop a dime on the book. Don't hunt down the code. You're safe avoiding it and moving on with your life. But yeah, if you're looking to get a hold of us, guys, you got something to say, you can get a hold of us anytime on Twitter. Our DMs are open for business. We share and retweet new comic book day polls, so you can tag us in that. Or if it pops up on the timeline, we give you a like and a retweet. We even throw digital codes around out there. Like I mentioned, I put one up this week. Yeah, but again, we got an email too. You can get a little long-winded on us, and that is at marvelmadness0@gmail.com. And I don't know if I did say the Twitter name, but that is at madnessmarvel1 on Twitter. So yeah, I think we did get an email. Trevitt, do you got that pulled up or no?
Yeah, I have it right here.
Yeah, go ahead. Well, what's is this a second time writer-inner?
Yeah, it's Sean Romero for the second time. And he's just responding back to Jesus, my throat. To what we first said in his first email. He said, hey, Marvel Madness, I just wanted to say thanks for the recommendations on the books. My brother actually had the Weapon X series by Barry Windsor Smith, so I borrowed that from him and read it. That was a really good run, very graphic and awesome, crazy story.
Yeah. I know
I,
that's probably my favorite part about it because you don't get a lot of those graphic Marvel books anymore, really. And it's
no
kind of
more Max
shocking when you
series.
go back and read some of them. You're like, oh shit.
He says, I will be getting the Supreme Power Run from a friend, so when I get that series from them, I will check it out for sure. If you guys have any other suggestions for Marvel Comics series and or runs that I should check out, let me know. Keep up the great work on the podcast and have a great day, Sean Romero.
Yeah, I mean, I got a pretty big Spider-Man collection downstairs. It doesn't branch out too far in Marvel trades otherwise, but I do have a Deadpool book from right after the Skrull Wars ended, or right during that. You know, when they all came down to Earth and revealed themselves to be Skrulls.
Yeah.
Um, it's by Daniel Way, and it's volume 1 of that Deadpool run, and it's a really good Deadpool run that spans multiple volumes. You know, with the same creative team, something that doesn't happen a whole lot anymore nowadays. Uh, and you don't have to buy or know what's going on in other books. It's pretty, self-contained as far as that goes.
Yeah.
So yeah, that would kind of, I don't know where I would maybe nudge you next, but totally different flavor, more comedy, and then a little ultra violent kind of early 2000s Deadpool. Um, so yeah, that would be my suggestion. I know you got a lot bigger Marvel collection than I do, as far as trade wise goes.
Yeah, I got
But I don't
a
really
lot.
know what he's looking for. But that's kind of like comedy action. That's more in my wheelhouse. Uh, but yeah, you got a little more variety there. Would you suggest maybe
I
one?
probably have probably I have like 800 trades in total, so probably half of them are Marvel, so at least 350 to 400. But I would you know what I was looking at, and I would totally suggest because I love this run is the Bruce Jones run on Incredible Hulk. It's fucking awesome, but not only is it fucking awesome, but it has one all-star artist after another. So it starts off with John Romita Jr. and then goes into Lee Weeks. And the Lee Weeks style kind of looks like Romita's a little bit, maybe but a little bit better at the same time.
Yeah,
Kind of
I'm
like
not a
when
huge fan of Romita Jr., but I don't hate his Hulk stuff. Like he
no,
just makes it not so blocky, maybe because he's so muscular. You know what I'm saying?
and this is like some of the best art I've ever seen him do next to like older Spider-Man stuff from like the 80s and late 70s and stuff. But other than that, this is like my favorite stuff that I've seen him do. And then Lee Weeks came in right after him and kind of like made you feel like the art wasn't that much of a drastic change. It took Ramita's style and he just like expanded on it and made it like a little bit tighter, a little bit better. And then after that was Mike Diodato and Stuart Immonen and fucking Doug. I can't pronounce his last name. Braithwaite from. He just had a little run on Exo
Feels like a lot of
Manowar.
Marvel artists broke in on Hulk. You know what I'm saying? Like
Yeah.
that's probably really before the Amonim and all those dudes were household names at Marvel. And like they got their break on Hulk.
And Adam Kubert, and Lee Weeks came back towards the end of the run too. So it was just like great artist after great artist, like the art all the way through. It starts off like Bruce Jones did like I don't know, like 40 or 50 issues, I think, and then like the last or like 40 issues, and then the last 10 or Peter David came back. But it's a great run. It's probably one of my favorite runs on the Hulk, and I never really hear it talked about too much.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, staying on Hulk too. I got them digitally. I don't have them, as hard covers or anything. But I enjoy all the World War Hulk stuff. So if you like the Thor movie, Ragnarok, and you want to get like really deep into the true Planet Hulk story and all that's where you would go for that. But
That was good
he
times.
got it. He got anything else in that email, or is that it?
Yeah, that's it. That's it.
All right. So we got all our basic bit stuff covered and out of the way. We're going to get you guys over to Trevitt's news section. And we'll be right back after that jingle.
Jingle jangle.
All right. Jingle, jingle, cut. All right. Go ahead.
All right. So for news this week, I had I didn't really. I'm just going to read what came off the notes right here because I didn't have
Yeah, I just copied and
really
pasted it because
anything.
I didn't want to. It's mostly just quotes from Jim Shooter, and I didn't want to misquote him
Yeah.
because
When I read that story and I was debating on that whether to punch it up, and then like I liked what he said it is when in some of his thoughts, but I also got the feeling when I read it that he didn't read Secret Empire. You know what I mean? He just takes like, but whatever. And there was another cool thing I wanted to touch on real quick before I got into it. Um, was that I was reading that we got a new Marvel editor in Cebulski, and then I read an article this week where Joe Quesada says that he's going to shift his focus back towards the publishing aspect of Marvel because he's been working on like TV and stuff like that,
yeah,
and not really focusing on publishing. And when he was the editor in chief, that was like the nowadays golden age of Marvel. So like when he was running things from what was it, like 2000 something all the way up until 2011, like that's when the best stories, the best events, the best creators, like the best everything came. And then we got Alex Alonso, and it was okay for a little while. But so with him focusing more on publishing and working hand in tandem with CB Cebulski, or Cebulski, whatever is how you pronounce that name. I can't do bad with names.
all those consonants together.
Yeah, but those two working together hand in hand on the publishing, it just tells me that we're heading somewhere really nice. You know what I mean? So
Yeah,
people
hopefully.
people
I
who
think it's
are
like I think because he has the experience, and this guy doesn't have really high up editor in chief experience. He's just gonna,
not
so much kind
yeah.
of walk
I
him
mean,
through the beginning of the job. You know what I'm saying?
Cebulski was a talent scout. He was an editor. He was a writer. He was recently in charge in China of the Marvel brand. So anything like, getting the Chinese people involved and interested in Marvel comics, that
Yeah.
was like his job.
Editing the movies probably, or like, suiting them for Chinese interests because a lot of
Yeah.
movies get banned over there if they're not, in political tone with what China wants.
And he's been a regular like editor on the comics, and he's written some comics too. So that's he's got like a jack of all trades. So that's kind of nice. And then working in tandem with Joe Quesada, just I think some a lot of good things. And there's another thing that he said that like most of the editors that they have there right now are really really young. And you know what? I've seen the pictures of these kids because they're always posting them on Twitter when like some kind of SJW bullshit comes up and they all want to like band together, and they are kids. They're like in their 20s,
Yeah,
like
they're
early
really
late
young.
20s. And that says a lot right there. So if you get these two guys who have been around the block, know what they're doing to help these kids out and make sure they're doing their job correctly, because a good editor could make or break a book, and a good editor in chief could make or break a publishing company. So hopefully that all goes out. But let's get into the stories. So first we get Jim Shooter, formal Marvel Comics editor in chief. He oversaw Secret Wars and a lot of other good things, but he's not a fan of what's been going on lately when it comes to events and crossovers at Marvel. While speaking at Rhode Island Comic Con, which I didn't go to, even though it was like literally like I could ride my bike to it, but I didn't. So,
I don't ever go to the Buffalo one either. First of all, I'm not a huge giant crowd fan. Like even football
yeah, me
games, I'm like
neither.
out after a half because the crowd is just like pissing me off.
I gotta
But
be like half drunk or stoned or something,
yeah,
and
even then, it's just like too many people I don't know around me creeps me out.
yeah.
But yeah, that's the anti-social in me coming out. But yeah, like I don't know, I don't go to him either. But Jim Shooter's speech sounds like something that maybe would have enticed me to go.
Well,
You know?
they had a ton of good. Like normally at Rhode Island Comic Con, it was like it's always like a joke to me. Like I see the who's gonna be there every year. They got like a couple of famous people, but not like really famous people, like people from like stupid TV shows and shit like that. But
Yeah,
this year they had like great creators. They had like John Cassaday, Steve McNiven, Jim Shooter, a bunch of other like big names in like writing, editing, and penciling, and then they had like famous people. They had Wonder Woman was there, the dude who plays the Winter Soldier. I was like all these other famous people, and I was like, that's ridiculous. Like it's actually like a real Comic Con,
yeah, they
and
turned it into one.
it was the first year I actually considered going, but but I didn't go. Like, it's too expensive. Like, and I don't give a shit. Like, they charge a lot of money, and the reason why is because of all the famous people who go. And I don't. That's the thing I care about the least when I go there. Like,
Right. I'm with you there too. Yeah.
yeah,
Like the what cons have turned into, I don't want to deal with the famous people. I want to see
no.
some steals on comic books and trades and shit. And that's what I want to go
Yeah,
for.
I want to see good prices. I want to meet my favorite creators. You know, that's what I like. That's what I care about. I don't care about like the movie. Movies are great and all, but what do I care about meeting someone who plays a character that I love? I rather like meet a person who writes or draws the character that I love. You know, but whatever. But that's why most fucking cons are packed these days, or for the famous people,
Yeah.
or like or you know, like the major cons like New York or San Diego, where you get to see like early previews of movies before anybody else does for like a year or 8 months. But so Jim Shooter gave a little angry rant at the Rhode Island Comic Con on Secret Empire, and I quote, he says, they shouldn't. Captain America, a Nazi? Are you kidding me? Jack Kirby is rolling in his grave. Joe Simon is going to rise up out of his grave and kill those people. That was so wrong, because that's not like anything of the original intent of the creators. He also said, comics is completely unlike magazine publishing. It's unlike book publishing. Comics have more in common with single malt scotch than they do with other kinds of publishing, because it's a relationship. It's a relationship marketing business. When I was a kid, I couldn't wait to see what happened in Spider-Man next month. I didn't give a damn if the cover was foil embossed, because it wasn't. That's a statement that goes for both of the big two, because you know they're all about those lenticular foil crap. It's actually, you know what? I like foil covers. I'm not big on the lenticular, but I like foil covers. But he also
Yeah. I like
says
the foils better.
it's all about them loving Spider-Man, the character of Spider-Man, wanting to know what's going on with Spider-Man. If they miss an issue, they don't care. You lost. So you have to understand you're building a relationship. Stan took it a step further and created a relationship between the creators. Everyone felt Stan was their friend. Kids would send him childish confessions. Am I a bad person because I did this or that? When they're involved, you win. When they're not, I don't care how many in foil and embossed covers there are, you know, you lose. And he did make a lot of good points when it comes to like, you know, editing and the relationship with your readers, and story points. Like he when I read that article, there was another paragraph he went on about. He was talking shit for a while, but he was talking in general in comics about how nowadays you don't get any more one and done stories. Like everything's a long form story. Everybody's writing for the trade paperback nowadays. You know, nobody, like, you don't get like a TV show. Like, you know what I mean? Like you have those episodes that follow the lore, the long form story, but you also have those episodes that give you a break from that long form story, like a one and done. You know what I mean? Like I use Supernatural as a for instance. Like every season has a long form arc, but you know, you'll get an episode of two of a lore episode that follows like the whole entire long arc, and then you'll get an episode that's just one and done. Like they went on a mission, they completed the mission, end of episode. It might have like a little tidbit from like at the end for something for the long form story, but overall it was just like a one and done story, like a one shot. And they really don't have that any days. Like everything is like a long form story. No more like, you know, 2 issues and then maybe 1 issue you get a break from that long form story and they tell just like a one shot story. That would be nice. They don't really do that anymore. And I used to complain about that because I like long form stories, and everybody complains and I bust people's balls. Like, who gives a shit about one shot stories? But actually, I kind of like one shot stories, like a beginning, middle, and end, without having to
Yeah.
be like beaten down.
I prefer, like, you know, a long idea running through it, but it being set up on not just 6 issue arcs. You know, that's usually how I prefer.
Yeah.
I like it mixed up. I don't like knowing that my fourth issue is kind of going to be bullshit in the middle of recapping what I already know. You know what I'm
Yeah,
saying?
yeah,
It
yeah, yeah.
gets old.
And they don't need to do that, and that is a problem right there, especially with the bi-weekly books at like DC, for instance. Like, you get a lot of recap for stuff that you do not need recap for. You know what I mean? So it just wastes a lot of time.
Yeah.
And Bi-weekly books are the worst idea on the face of the planet. That's another thing that has to die at both companies. Like, no more bi-weekly books. Like, make all of them monthly. What's the point of it? All they do is stretch out it just makes the story worse. It hurts the story. It makes it boring. It stretches something that could have been 15 issues is now 30. And then there's all this filler that's just boring as fuck. Like, characters that I love, I can't even get through a fucking issue. Like, you know how many books from last week that I read 32 comics on Saturday, and now one of them was something from this week. Like, I've read like half of the books that I would normally read this week because I'm just exhausted, and I had to read something like classic or something from like Image, something that like really gets me excited and is really well written. That's not just like kind of a pile of crap because it's strained from a bi-weekly schedule, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I got to kill that shit. So next up, second and last, there's going to be a cool thing going on with Wolverine. So last week, Marvel teased Wolverine's role in the new Infinity Story and Stone focused storyline. So beginning in February 2018, they're going to have a cool little thing in certain issues of Marvel Comics. They're going to have serialized pages in several ongoing Marvel books, and Marvel's calling them after credit scenes. So, you know, if you're used to those from the Marvel movie, they're applying Marvel physics to the comic book. So certain issues like Captain America 697 in January, or Mighty Thor 703 in January, or Amazing Spider-Man 794, at the end of those issues, you're going to get like a couple of pages of Wolverine furthering Wolverine's story from Marvel Legacy #1. So like what he did after you saw him with that Infinity Stone in his hand, to see what he's going on, where he's doing, show him like how he got out of that adamantium shell. So that's going to be interesting because, you know, they got Old Man Logan going on right now and all new Wolverine. So where the fuck is regular Wolverine going to fit in after they bring him back from the dead? That's whatever Jason Aaron does next, I'm assuming he's going to be a big part of it. But until that happens, whenever the fuck that happens, because they don't tell us anything about that other than Jason Aaron teasing it like 5-6 months ago. This is what we get. So we get these after credit scenes so we can see what the fuck's going on with regular Logan, which is just confusing.
I don't hate the idea of it, but what they should have done is in whatever week or month they're releasing that teaser, it should just be in every book. Like, just repeat the shit out of it so everyone sees it and you don't got to buy.
Yeah.
You know, I buy one of these books anyway, so it doesn't really piss me off in that regard. It's going to be in Spider-Man, but like if I'm not buying any 3 of these books, I'd have to buy one of these books to kind of continue the legacy story. And
I think that's why they're doing it. Like, so like,
yeah. Yeah, no, I know that, but
like,
and the one good thing is it's in like the 3 big characters books. You know what I'm saying? At least there's that.
Yes. That's what I was going to say.
You know, if you're like a B character fan and you don't buy the A character books per se, you'd have to buy an A character book to figure out what's going on.
And weeks apart. So like the first week of January, you just the Captain America, the second week Thor, and then the third week. And you know what I'll do is I like doing this. I kind of cut them up. Like I take the digital files and I zip them up, and then you can go into the zip file and it'll break it down page for page, and I'll pull out all the pages that will be like the Wolverine story, and then I'll just make it into one long comic book. And then I'll throw it on my tablet and read it that way. I did that with the fucking new comic book day issues. Like I split them up and broke them apart. So like if I have Defenders on my tablet, I have the Defenders issue, just like the 12-11 pages as one issue in there. So it starts off the whole entire run. Because I hate it when shit's blended together like that. It just, if it's gonna be one story, I'd rather have it in one place. And
yeah,
what are they gonna do? Like they got Old Man Logan. Like what are they gonna do with Old Man Logan? He's gonna be like soon. He's gonna be 35 issues into his run. Is it going to end? Is it like?
Yeah, I don't know. They got to do something with all the Wolverines. They got like 11 Wolverines currently.
Yeah,
driving me crazy.
Because they can't put regular like Logan into a fucking solo book because this would be too much. It's just too much. He's gonna have to be in a team book for a while. The oversaturation of Wolverine.
I know. I'm tired of even Wolverine on teams though. There's a Wolverine on every team and every X-Men book.
Now for sure with X-Men Red.
Yeah, there's literally a Wolverine on every team. It's a little much. But all right, we're going to wrap up the news here. We're going to kick you guys off to book section 1, where we're going to cover Renew Your Vows and Silver Sable and the Wild Pack. So we'll be right back.